Hello Laugh Squad, it is me, Annie, on behalf of GirlsGamesGags. I hope you are all good. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Warhammer Wednesday. Today's episode I'm gonna kinda give you a wee run through of what I've been working on. So a little bit of tutorial action today for a lovely change and a pretty exciting project just now. So I wanted to kind of guide you a wee bit through the process so you could see what it's like kind of firsthand for me painting some models and just seeing my style, my technique I suppose, which is very much non-existent. Keep telling people this when they ask me like in comments and stuff, oh, walk me through how you did that, how did you achieve this, and honestly I really do just like freeball it most of the time. So I wanted to prove that to you guys. It's amazing what can be achieved when you're just playing about with things. So watch this space today and you will see firsthand the kind of things I get up to. I managed to work on a couple of models this week. You remember I was finishing off some of the tile models. These are not my finest paint jobs, I have to be honest. I did kind of rush them. I'm itching to get on with another project like I said, so I kind of just, but I wanted to make sure these were completed. We've got this one. He's slightly different, he's got his base. So again, just playing about with some colour shift paint, some highlights there. Can't forget this guy. You can see how he came out. Again, contrast paints make your life so much more easier. These guys are awesome. When you use contrast paints, it makes things so much easier. Still have my tray of goodies. I know that I've showed you guys this before. A couple of metal minis still on there. Dark Angel still to be done. Elder, which I am gonna do, I promise, but I've got a teeny tiny bit sidetracked and I've built up 20 Marines, which took me a little bit of time. Are fully based, ready to go. The other 10 bases should arrive from eBay this week. Honor of King Flippy from TikTok, who very sensibly suggested the chapter that I go for. Everybody was asking what chapter I was gonna do. I've done Ultramarines till I'm blue in the face, I guess. I could paint those guys in my sleep, but I really didn't know what to go for, so I asked him to choose which chapter I should paint, and he picked Angel Sanguine. Seeing the look of them, the half and half, I was totally drawn to it, but also nervous because that now means it's a proper challenge, a proper paint challenge for me. So I did a wee tester last night to see how it would look and trialling out two paints that I want to use. Flesh Jitters Red and Contrast Black Templar. So again, I can't big up the contrast paints enough because they do make your life so much easier. I know a lot of people are fussy about how the coating of these go on, but they actually look incredible. They might be a bit thin for the first coat, but just double up on the coat and you'll be amazed at the effect it comes out with. Jitters Red. Flesh. I don't know if that's just my speech or if it's the accent. Flesh. Jitters. Flesh. Jitters. I need to. It's like a tongue twister. It's quite challenging to say it. If I talk, I could probably do it. Flesh. Jitters Red. Yeah? Yeah. Sounds good. Flesh Jitters. Oh, I'm gonna keep fuffing this up, right? Anyways, the red basically is epic on the primer alone. I've never used it straight onto primer. I've always did like a base, probably of like Corax White or something. But I trialed this straight on the primer of a test model yesterday, along with the contrast. Just one coat each side, and I'm excited to show you guys how it came out. Mind, this was just a tester, so this is my sample one. It was just one coat of each colour, and I totally free-handed it, so for the division of the line I just wanted to see how the colours would blend. So I did a wet blend with both of them, freehand. So it's not 100% straight, but I think for a first attempt it was quite good. Da-da-da! Check him out. So it's still patchy, as you can see. The contrast black, I would love to do an additional, let me see it in focus, an additional coat on, because obviously it's lightened up a fair bit since the first coat, but just straight away the contrast, the half and half is just, it's gonna be such an epic scheme. Like I can't wait to see an army worth of these guys, like how it's going to look. I crack on with priming the 10 models I've got because my other bases haven't arrived. But in the meantime, I want to just crack on with these and see how we get on. So I'm going to show you me priming these, and then let's get to work on showing you painting one of these. So basically I just take my tray of Marines out to what I class as my priming station. As you can see, it was effectively a place for like a kid's kitchen, but I've taken over it for spraying. My kids' toys are everywhere. So what I'm going to do is just line up these guys one by one on here so that I can get them all evenly sprayed. Now I've seen a lot of debate recently about priming, whether or not you should do it, how you should do it, and I always go for the Rattlecan type priming because I think it gives the best coverage. You can't prime your models by hand, which I have also done, particularly for things like the Necron, because you base them, you prime them black usually. Here are my guys all ready to be primed, but for me I just like to stick with, I mean, normally I use the Citadel Wraithbone, but they're out of stock, so I'm just using this white plastic primer in the meantime, and give it a good shake obviously, and just in a downward motion you can start hitting all your models. Obviously if it's windy it can be a bit of a deterrent because it can make the paint kind of go everywhere. And once these sections are dried, obviously, is when I would rotate the models to get the other side. But yeah, this is how I like to prime my models. It's good to batch prime as well if you can, and a lot of this can be weather dependent for getting outside. But as you can see, like there, you get much better coverage, you know, because there's dark and light shadows, versus if you just hand painted it, you would tend to kind of paint into all the crevices, and this just makes it more effective for when it comes to doing the coat of paint on it. So yeah, once these guys are dry, I will rotate them and get the other side. But this is a wee walkthrough of my priming process. I'm waiting for that to dry. A wee discussion regarding what was mentioned about the primer there. I actually saw that on a chat on Facebook, a Facebook chat on the Imperium magazine group. So again, I have joined up to the Warhammer Imperium subscription, which I'm super excited about. I mean, like getting a bunch of models, like Necro models and cool paints and stuff, and ultimately it's designed for beginners, which, okay, I've been doing this for a while now, but ultimately I still am classing myself as a beginner. You know, I've still never had a game yet, so it's going to teach me how to do the gameplay from scratch, which I'm super buzzing about. And a good friend of mine has also signed up to the subscription, but he's donning like over 30 years worth of experience, which is so funny because I'm on the opposite end from him. But we've decided what we're going to do is do a walkthrough guide of us effectively following the instructions on the magazine and doing a live gameplay, or recording us basically doing the gameplay per the instructions on the magazine. So you'll get to see the process of me learning from scratch per the instructions set out in the Warhammer Imperium magazine for gameplay. And because my buddy's so experienced, obviously he'll be at hand to help me and walk me through each step of the way, which I am so grateful for and I can't wait to do, because I've been wanting to play a game for a long time. I'm just nerves wise, that's a bit that gets the better of me. I don't mind the building, I don't mind the painting, I don't mind learning as I go along, but for some reason, like, I'm really nervous about the gameplay, because I think especially people with experience, I don't want to just walk into a venue and because I have no clue what the hell I'm doing. So this magazine is apparently designed specifically for people who are maybe feeling a bit apprehensive like me. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to share that with you guys. So we'll get it set up so that when we're doing the live play and follow it through, we can film it and put it out to you guys, and you can see firsthand how it works, how I get on. It's all learning, so definitely I'm keen to see that. But it's more content for you guys as well to see firsthand. And the magazine subscription does look quite epic as well. So every time the new issue should be coming out really shortly. I know it's hit the shops already, but the subscribers are getting like 4 magazines in one, which is why there's a bit of a delay for us versus the other people, the general public, bless. So that should be coming soon. So as soon as I get my magazine subscription, I shall open that with you guys, share that with you, and you get to see firsthand what's included and obviously how we follow it through as well. So yeah, hopefully these guys are dry soon. So I miscounted earlier and we've actually got 11 models ready and primed. So another 9 that I'll put on bases later on in the week once they arrive. But as you can hopefully see what I mean like about priming with a rattle can, this guy for example, you see the deviations of where there's shade. I mean, you still want there's a bit of coverage is not exactly perfect. It's a bit thicker in one part, which you can touch up if need be. But to be honest, I like more of the effect with the dark and light, and I think with the contrast paints is going to look more effective being primed this way than if I hand primed them. So yeah, excited to see how these guys turn out. Okay guys, the angle of this is maybe not the best, but I wanted you to get an up close kind of view of what it is specifically I'm doing here. So as you probably noticed, most of my models have their weapon kind of crossing their chest, which is going to make this half and half task exceptionally difficult. So I'm going to start with a slightly easier model, as in the weapons are kind of sprung to the side, so I'm going to try and get the division done this way. Hopefully you'll manage to see what it is I'm doing. I've got my 2 contrast paints here. Make sure I shake them super well. I found it easiest to start with the red yesterday, because in the event that the red does go over slightly, it's more easily covered with the black than vice versa. So hopefully that makes sense. And what I'm just going to do effectively is go ahead and kind of make a bit of a line, and then we can go on to kind of painting. So I'm going for a really quite fine, this is awkward to do with this angle, quite fine tipped brush here, dipping it in to your paint pot, get rid of any of that excess. Where to start? Well, I'm going to do a dividing line first, and I'm actually going to start at the crotch. So just kind of freehanding to where I think is almost half and half. It gets easier when it comes to things like the belt buckle, for example, because you just know you are basically half in that circle as a guide. So if I can get a bit of a halfway mark, like on things like the skull, for example, again, you know you're just covering half of it. You know you're kind of in line if you're doing that. You really can't see us very well at all. You see I'm just kind of making a bit of a line across the body here before I go and paint. The helmet is always going to be one of the most difficult parts, I think. Understandably, trying to get that split as accurate as possible. I mean, I'm not one that's big on perfection with these. I don't mind if the blend looks a bit shaky. I wouldn't want it like perfectly symmetrical, but to get the more prominent effect, you want it to be as close as possible. And this is really difficult to do without a shaky hand, so I'm going to lay it flat and just kind of work my brush over what appears to be half of the helmet. If it does go for a wee bit, it's just a case of touching up again with the black contrast. Should be easier to fill on the other side. I just can't believe how well the contrast paint goes onto this primer. I absolutely love it. So the divide there, again, the backpack on this is relatively squint, so where I decide to do the line, you know, it's not going to be totally adjacent to the rest of the body. It's up to yourself how you do that. I mean, it's a movable soldier, so by that I mean like it's not everything on it is going to be absolutely symmetrical, so I'll be happy to do a line that backpack and then readjust for the body, if that makes sense. So yeah, trial and error. It's just whatever's going to look semi-cool, I think. It's your hobby, you do what you like. Just go with whatever you feel comfiest with. I don't know why that backpack's on so squint, but hey, it's all good. It's all good. It's still gonna look cool when it's finished. I'll go back to the crotch area and drag that line simple. So I know which half of the body will be the red part. It's super tricky, guys. There probably is like an actual better way to do this. Maybe an easier way. Feel free to leave any comments and suggestions. If you use things like tape and stuff for lining it, I could imagine. Yeah, you'll get a much clearer edge that way. Ooh, shaky hand. But like I said, I'm not in it for the accuracy of it, to be honest. For it to be perfection is overrated. I like to just freeball it and see how I get on. So that is my style. Yeah, so I've kind of did, as you can see, looks a bit like an England flag with the red and white. Apologies about the focus here. So I've done kind of like a basic outline of where I want to go now. So what I'm going to do is trade my brush for a slightly thicker one, just so it takes less time to do the coverage. And I just crack on straight away and do, obviously, the leg, it's going to be red.